The ancient secret they hid about Cleopatra's tomb. Hey everyone, how are you friends from around the world? Even if this is your first time here, we're truly honored to have you with us. Your likes and subscriptions mean a lot to us. Back to Magma Storm. A series of recent discoveries at an archaeological site in Egypt has sent shockwaves through the academic world. It looks like these findings have brought archaeologists one step closer to uncovering the long-lost tomb of Queen Cleopatra. What was found near the great city of Alexandria might force scholars to completely rethink their understanding of the famous Egyptian queen and the political and social climate of her time. But what exactly did they discover? And how could this change the way we see one of ancient Egypt's greatest queens? Let's find out. Kathleen Martinez and the search for Cleopatra's tomb. Finding Cleopatra's lost tomb would easily be one of the most important archaeological discoveries of the 21st century. Egyptologists have been searching for over 100 years, but no one has succeeded, yet. That didn't stop Kathleen Martinez, a former lawyer turned archaeologist, who has spent the last 20 years of her life chasing this dream. She may be closer than anyone ever imagined. Kathleen has always been fascinated by Cleopatra's life, even crediting Shakespeare's famous play as one of the things that inspired her to begin the search. She spent much of her early life working as a lawyer, but her deep passion for Cleopatra eventually pushed her to take a lead role in what's known as the Dominican Egyptian Archaeological Mission. Kathleen spent years studying everything she could about Cleopatra and developed a bold theory. If Cleopatra was a follower of the goddess Isis, then she was probably buried in a temple dedicated to that very goddess. So in 2002, Kathleen made her first trip to Egypt to visit potential burial sites for Cleopatra. She even met with Zahi Hawass, Egypt's Minister of Antiquities at the time. Armed with a map and ancient writings by the Greek geographer Strabo, she identified 21 possible locations. After careful study, one site stood out. An ancient temple on the outskirts of Alexandria, Taposiris Magna. She believed she had found the right place. For centuries, people believed Cleopatra was buried in her city, Alexandria. But Kathleen had a different idea, that the queen wanted her body to be moved out of the city after her death. According to legend, Cleopatra and her lover Mark Antony died by suicide after being defeated by the Roman Emperor Octavian. Kathleen suggested that their bodies were secretly moved to a sacred hidden temple, possibly the ruins of Taposiris Magna, located 50 kilometers west of Alexandria. After that short 2002 trip, Kathleen returned home to the Dominican Republic. But she couldn't stop thinking about Taposiris Magna. Her obsession grew, and she eventually left her law career behind to dedicate herself fully to archaeology and the search for Cleopatra's tomb. With support from the Catholic University of Santo Domingo, she created a formal project and applied for a permit from the Egyptian government to start digging. This was historic. It marked the first time Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities granted an excavation permit to a Latin American country. Excavations began in 2004, mostly funded by Kathleen herself. In 2005, she returned home and was later named Dominican Republic's Minister of Culture, which helped her continue the dig at Taposiris Magna. Many archaeologists had dismissed Taposiris Magna, saying it was an incomplete temple not worth exploring. But Kathleen thought differently. She believed the site had suffered from 2 major earthquakes and violent attacks, which left it in ruins and led to it being forgotten. Once digging began, Kathleen and her team found powerful clues pointing to the site's historic significance. First, they discovered 2 underground chambers hidden within the temple walls. Then, they also found a sealed room. What they discovered inside the chamber was truly remarkable. The interior walls were covered in a fascinating mix of hieroglyphic and Demotic writings, which really gave the impression that this was once considered a sacred site. But, the first major discovery actually didn't happen until 2018. That's over a decade after the initial excavations began. In that year, Kathleen Martinez and her team announced that they had recovered more than 800 artifacts, along with the discovery of a large tomb. Among the finds was a cache of gold coins, many of which had Cleopatra's face on them. Even more impressively, they uncovered 15 underground burial vaults, 800 skeletons, and 14 mummies. These discoveries gave Kathleen and her team an incredible amount of confidence that they were getting very close to Cleopatra's final resting place. Then came a series of eerie and mysterious discoveries. In 2021, the archaeologists working with Kathleen made another huge breakthrough. They found 16 rock-cut tombs, a style that was pretty common during the Greco-Roman period. Inside these tombs, they came across mummies in poor condition, estimated to be around 2,000 years old. But here's where things got really strange. When the team examined the mummies more closely, they found something bizarre inside their mouths: tongues made of pure gold. Radiocarbon dating showed these mummies likely dated between 300 and 640 BC. The golden tongues are believed to have had spiritual meaning. Some experts think they were intended to help the dead speak to Osiris, the Egyptian god of the underworld. Alongside the mummies and their golden tongues, other items were discovered: golden scarab amulets, lotus flowers, pottery, resins, and tar used in the embalming process. They also found the remains of 2 elaborately buried mummies, one of them covered in layers of plaster decorated with stunning golden artwork of Osiris. Partially intact scrolls were found next to the bodies, and researchers began working on translating them, hoping they might offer clues leading to Cleopatra's tomb. They also unearthed several well-preserved statues, believed to represent important figures who had once been buried in or near the Temple of Taposiris Magna. Other treasures found in the burial shafts included 8 marble masks and 8 thin sheets of gold, thought to be part of a golden crown. It's hard to pin down an exact year for these finds, but experts are fairly confident they were buried during the Greek rule of Egypt, sometime between 305 and 30 BC. Although this was a massive step forward in the search for Cleopatra's tomb, no one was prepared for what came next. Kathleen and her team continued their relentless work over the following years. Then in November 2022, they made a shocking announcement. They had discovered a massive underground tunnel beneath the ancient Temple of Taposiris Magna. This tunnel lies about 13 meters below the ground and stretches an astonishing 4,281 feet, which is roughly the length of 12 football fields. At the end of this incredible tunnel was a huge religious center that included 3 separate shrines, a sacred lake, and over 1,500 artifacts, including busts, statues, and gold coins. Many of the coins bore the faces of Alexander the Great, Ptolemy, and even Cleopatra herself. The discovery electrified historians and Egyptologists. Many now believe this could finally lead to the location of Cleopatra's long-lost tomb. The tunnel eventually leads toward the Mediterranean Sea, and part of it is now underwater. It's likely that several earthquakes damaged parts of the temple and its underground network, causing sections of the tunnel to collapse. Experts have described the tunnel as an architectural masterpiece. Some even think it was inspired by the Eupalinian Tunnel in Greece, a real feat of engineering from the ancient world. This led Kathleen and her team to speculate that the tunnel might have been constructed by the Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt, intentionally modeled after that famous Greek design. So, the big question remains: will Kathleen Martinez and her team actually find Cleopatra's tomb? While scholars haven't ruled out the possibility that Cleopatra and her lover, Mark Antony, might be buried in a submerged section of the tunnel beneath the Mediterranean, no definitive proof has been found yet. Only time will tell. But considering that Taposiris Magna was a major center of worship for Osiris and Isis, and a sacred site for the Ptolemaic dynasty, the very family Cleopatra belonged to, many experts believe Kathleen's team may be on the brink of solving one of the greatest mysteries in Egyptian history. This was the story of the terrifying and thrilling discoveries at what may be Cleopatra's final resting place. If you'd like to see more videos about mysteries like this,